G'day you mob, Pete here, and this is another episode of Aussie English, the number one place for anyone and everyone wanting to learn Australian English. So today I have a Goss episode for you where I sit down with my old man, my father, Ian Smisson, and we talk about the week's news, whether locally down under here in Australia or non-locally overseas in other parts of the world. Okay, and we sometimes also talk about whatever comes to mind, right? If we can think of something interesting to share with you guys related to us or Australia, we also talk about that in the Goss. So these episodes are specifically designed to try and give you content about many different topics where we're obviously speaking in English and there are multiple people having a natural and spontaneous conversation in English. So it is particularly good to improve your listening skills. In order to complement that though, I really recommend that you join the podcast membership or the academy membership at aussieenglish.com.au, where you will get access to the full transcripts of these episodes, the PDFs, the downloads, and you can also use the online PDF reader to read and listen at the same time. Okay, so if you really want to improve your listening skills fast, get the transcript, listen and read at the same time, keep practicing, and that is the quickest way to level up your English. Anyway, I've been rabbiting on a bit. I've been talking a bit. Let's just get into this episode, guys. Smack the bird, and let's get into it. Dad, how's it going?
Good, Pete. How are you?
I'm good. Let me open up this story. So, Albany's granny grommets.
The granny grommets inspire older women around the world to surf.
Do you want to describe a grommet or explain what that is? Define it?
Typically, a grommet is a child who is just learning to surf.
Well, what's the literal meaning of the word too first?
A grommet? Well, it's a little plug that you put into something.
Yeah. I'm sort of thinking, I wonder how that came to be a thing.
I have no idea.
But yeah, typically in Australia, it's like a slang term for a young kid who's learning to surf.
And it's usually preceded by some form of abusive term.
Really?
Like, bloody grommets.
I thought it was like
Get out of the way.
Was it little grommets or little groms that we had down at the Surf Lifesaver Club near our house in Ocean Grove when we were growing up, and it would be all the kids that were like primary school age learning
this is surfers rather than surf lifesavers. So.
Okay.
That's nippers is the surf life-saving one. But
right. It was little
so
nippers.
grommet is that sort of semi-derogatory, semi-inclusive term that surfers have for kids who are just learning. Typically, like they get in the way, they're not very good, but you want to encourage them a bit by including them, but you still have a different category for them.
Yeah. It is funny though. I've heard that.
So it's learners. It's effectively a learner.
I've heard that young kids are just absolute savages these days when it comes to surfing and bodyboarding. It's probably any sport, really.
Yeah.
Just because of the amount of information they have access to via things like YouTube.
Yeah, I think also kids have. You're a little bit like that, where you grew up on a skateboard before you took up surfing, and it's very similar foot, brain, body movement coordination. So. You know, kids have been on, say, skateboards and stuff since they were little, can just jump on a surfboard and go. Yeah. And when you're small, of course, you balance, it's better, but also your centre of gravity is much lower. So all that stuff is a bit easier.
Yeah, I always wondered, did people who skateboarded tend to pick up things like not surfing, but
skiing and surfing.
Snowboarding instead of skiing, because skiing you've got independent legs that aren't attached to one another. It's more like rollerblading.
But it's a similar sort of balance thing where you've got to have your feet in the right place.
Oh, I mean, it's related in that sense.
But snowboarding is obviously much closer to surfing and
I remember when I went to the snow for the first time with I can't remember if it was with Uncle Paul when he took me up. It might have been Uncle Paul, or we went up with the music.
I think it was a music
Peter
camp.
Huff Music School thing back in the day when I was probably 15, 16, whatever it was. And having the choice between that and snowboarding. And snowboarding, I was just like, it's a no-brainer. I've done surfing, I've done skating my whole life. I did rollerblade a little bit when I was a kid, but I'm like, I feel like the learning curve is going to be a lot.
Yeah, because when you're a little kid, you used to do the roller hockey at the...
Did I? Yeah.
Yeah, for a few times. It wasn't a competitive thing, but they used to have that sort of informal roller hockey thing.
It's funny, do you think, was skating like with roller skates, as in, you know, the foot boots with wheels on the bottom of them. Was that way more popular proportionately when I was younger and before then, and now it's died off? Or has it always been at the level it's been at? Or
other than your niece who has rollerblades or roller skates and got them when she was about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen her on them for a year.
Well, that's it.
But I haven't seen any kids with them. You know, you used to be, when you were younger, and certainly when I was young, there were kids on the street with roller skates all the time. And then rollerblades came in, and they were much more popular.
If I see them, I only really expect to see them being worn and used by very young children. Yeah. Like primary school children.
Yeah. I think if you went down to the Esplanade in Geelong, you don't see them, but I think if you go to the Esplanade in St Kilda, South Melbourne, you might still see them, because that used to be that sort of cliched image of the beachside concrete path in Los Angeles, where there's all these people on rollerblades and roller skates. I haven't been to St Kilda, South Melbourne, certainly during summer recently, or if I wasn't taking any notice.
Besides that, though, it would be the 4-wheel, 2 on either side skates. What are they called?
Roller skates.
Those older ones.
Yeah, roller skates, not blades.
Yeah. Roller skates.
Blades are in line.
Blades. Yes, got you. Because it came back with, is it roller derby? It became sort of a woman's sort of full contact
roller
sport.
derby as well. So.
Yeah,
and it was that. Roller derby is one of those sort of fake sport things like professional wrestling. It's there for the entertainment value and the acted violence.
It is interesting how these things change. Whereas, it feels like skateboarding has only increased. Like it's only gotten more and more and more popular over the years.
Yeah,
it probably exploded.
I think that's the other thing too. I
But...
remember when you were a kid, you would have noticed if you went to a skateboard park, there would have been kids on rollerblades.
Yeah.
And BMX bikes on them. You don't see that anymore.
Just
the BMX,
just scooters, right?
Scooters.
The little razor scooters.
Scooters now. But you don't see kids on rollerblades on those skate
I wonder
parks.
why it died out. I wonder if it's inherently more dangerous. You're more likely to get injured and just tap out and be like, nah. Or if it's just not as cool, there aren't as many tricks or options.
The tricks are all just jumps.
Yeah,
because it's not flipping a board and stuff. You can't even grind much on rollerblades because they grip too hard.
There's not many options.
You're not sliding a board down a bar or something.
Yeah, it is interesting how those things change. And I would never have picked when I was probably 12 years old. I remember our neighbour Luke, one of my oldest friends, got one of those first razor scooters. It was like $100, and we were all like, "Whoa!" Made of aluminium, and we were just like, "This is the weirdest looking thing." Because prior to that, scooters were always like they had a large wheel at the front, large wheel at the back. It was kind of like a bike, but it just the middle bit connecting the 2 wheels was like this flat thing you could stand
with a foot brake on it.
Well, and even handle brakes, I think. Right? Whereas the razor scooter thing had no brakes except for that
it was
back
just an inline skateboard with a handle.
But I never would have picked that would become an extreme sport where people are doing just the most
ridiculous
like skateboarding.
Things.
Though I guess it's probably seen as kind of like a cooler sport for young kids. Easier to do than skateboarding because they've got handlebars. But they can also kind of like do tricks
still do similar tricks. You obviously can't flip them and stuff.
Well, not as safely.
No. Well, they tend to do the vertical flip rather than the horizontal flip.
But it's been interesting watching how those things have changed over time. And now I guess the most recent thing, the old man thing that I feel is that it's fucking electric scooters, man. And just seeing them everywhere, and kids with them riding them on the road.
You commented on it, and I've had other people comment on it. The number of kids that got them for Christmas presents this year.
Oh, really?
Because you just suddenly exploded after Christmas of kids, particularly down where we are, living in a beach holiday resort. The number of kids fanging around the footpaths on these things with, no elbow pads, no helmet, and just.
It's one of those things. The thing that frightens me is just the potential for being hit by a car and having no protection. Like at least with a bike, you have to wear a helmet. I mean, you have to with these scooters anyway, but for some reason they just don't seem to. Bikes don't seem to be able to go as fast. Well, they probably can now, the electric ones. I guess you could probably get an electric one and really hoon, but at least back in the day...
Yeah, but electric ones... you're not allowed to ride bikes on a footpath.
Yeah.
So by law, you've got to ride them on the road, which means you have to obey road rules.
Well, that's the same rule for these scooters. I actually looked them up.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to ride them on the road. It's one of these bizarre things.
You have to ride them on the road, but you have to be over 16 years old.
Yeah.
And you have to ride them on a road that has a maximum of 60 k's an hour. You can't go on roads
can't go on a freeway.
And you're limited to 20 k's an hour.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of these things go 60 k's an hour or more. And so you see these kids, like I had this whinge on the Facebook group where I was taking my kids home from daycare and we went through a pretty busy intersection here, like a crossroad with lights, and these kids just went straight through it when it was red and almost got cleaned up. And they would have been like 13, 12, two of them on it, no helmets. And I was just like, and they just didn't give a shit. And you were just like, you could have died, man.
As I have said 10,000 times, Ian's first rule of parenting and teaching, and that is children are fucking idiots. And after that, everything else fits into place.
Why would you buy your kids that?
Oh, well, yeah. That's the, well,
I would do it if I wanted my kids to end up in hospital.
Why do you buy your kids anything? Is, there's 5% of gifts that parents give children are because the parent thinks it's a good idea.
And the other's nagging.
Everything else is just kids nagging. Oh, my friends have got them. I want one. I need an iPhone 16. What?
I guess I say this all now. I don't have teenage kids.
Yeah, wait till you've got a 12-year-old.
I just feel like, so you buy it with your money, buddy. Like, I'm not forking out for you to have the latest iPhone. Get stuffed. That's what do they cost? Like $3,000, $2,000?
Yeah, $2,000.
No chance. Anyway, back to the story.
Back to the granny grommets.
So I'll read out the first few paragraphs. On Western Australia's southern coast, a fun-loving group of older women take to the surf each week, boogie board in hand. They're called the Granny Grommets, and for a quarter of a century, they've been riding waves in Middleton Beach in Albany. The joyful wave riders have captured global attention, and their message of positive aging has spread to shores far and wide. So I guess it's a cool story about women. I think the age limit was 50 and above. They all get in their wetties, their wetsuits, and they get their boogie boards or body boards.
Yeah, so people, you probably need to explain what a boogie board is. So.
Well, it's just a body board, but it tends to be a lighter foam that's probably a bit more flexible.
More flexible, and
yeah. I think it.
Well, actually, boogie board's like Hoover. In fact, modern generations won't even understand what Hoover is, but
it's a brand.
It was a brand name for vacuum cleaners. Like Singer was a brand name for sewing machines that just became the generic noun. Boogie board was one of the original brand names for a bodyboard, and everybody, because they were so popular, everybody just called all of them boogie boards.
Yes, but I don't know. I really like these stories, especially with the older population. You would imagine they find it harder to socialize, and so when people come up with these sorts of ideas for groups, and also groups that are taking part in physical activities, it's awesome. And I hope we see more of this for all ages, because it seems to be one of those things that our society is becoming more and more isolated. And even I find it harder and harder to really kind of like interact with people and make friends, and, even with other Australians. It's just, I don't know if it's an age thing, but we seem to mainly stay close friends with our high school buddies, and that's about it, or uni friends. Yeah. And then after then, it's kind of like, you really have to do your work to find another friend.
Or it's hobby-based.
Yeah.
Yeah, or people take up different sports, like you'll get your golf friends or your photography, bird photography. I've got bird photography friends that I've met in my 50s and 60s.
So a lot of it, for me, a lot of my friends, at least the new ones that I've made recently, have been through guitar and selling guitars or buying guitars online, and then chatting to the people that are doing the buying or selling and getting to know them, and then just sort of being like, hey, do you want to add me on Facebook?
Yeah.
And I've done that probably a dozen times, but only 3 of them have become good friends because, for whatever reason, the conversation is just spontaneous and easy, and they ask me, they'll send me spontaneous messages, I'll send them, and you're kind of like, oh, this is just working. It's just becoming a good friendship. But if I didn't have that, it's just so hard. So I imagine when you get to these older ages, if you don't have any hobbies or anything and you are just retired at home, it must become so much more difficult to really find a social network and develop your own friendship.
Yeah, it is. And look, and obviously this is also about getting outdoors, being active. It's a really interesting thing to do, and it's a social thing, because I related that when I first read this story. I went, oh yeah, that's really cool, but you see it down, you go to our beach, surf beach, and there are plenty of, particularly women on boogie boards. Men, often the older men are riding surfboards.
Malibus.
The big mouths. Yeah. But the number of women my age in their 60s or older who are out on boogie boards, that's cool. But this is an organised group that do it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of, last time I was at the doctor and we were talking about, me getting more exercise. And I was telling him I'd just taken up swimming again. And he said, you should come and join our swimming group. He swims out of Torquay in the mornings and stuff, and I just went, no.
I don't like people.
But swimming is not a social activity. If you're going to get in the water and swim 800 metres, it might take. At my age and fitness level, I probably couldn't swim 800 metres, but if I got fit enough to do it, it would still take me probably half an hour. 20 minutes to half an hour. Well, back in the old days, I could swim 800 metres in about 12 minutes.
I think the whole point is that you socialise.
You socialise before and after. I know.
Yeah.
But the boogie boarding is constantly socialising because by definition in boogie boarding, typically you're in waist to chest deep water.
So you can talk to each other at every level.
You can stand around and talk.
You can
all
talk
the
on
time.
the wave. You can talk while you're standing.
And they mentioned that point of the number of times you see a dozen of them on the same wave all going, woo!
It does seem pretty cool. Do you feel though that you're the kind of person that just doesn't have that? What would you say? Like you just don't really care in terms of these sorts of social settings and groups, and having loads of friends or being incredibly social. You're kind of higher quality, lower density.
Well, funnily enough, this is apparently a legitimate psychological term. When I was talking to a friend who's a psychologist years ago, and I used this term, she went, "Yeah, that's a legitimate thing." I said, "I'm an intimate extrovert.
Yeah,
that I get my energy from having other people around me, but I much prefer that smaller group, higher quality conversation than It's not my worst nightmare. It's your mother's worst nightmare, but it's my sort of, home, really? Someone says, come to my Christmas party. I'll have 100 people there. And I go, no.
What do you think the threshold is for you then?
It's funny.
How many people would it be? And is it an area-based thing? Like if you had 20 people, but they were all in a single toilet?
Yeah. Telephone box.
Is that too loud? Is that too many people?
Well, it's not even loud. I think it's more the quality of conversation. Because it's, for me, I can have small talk for 5 minutes. And you do that with one person, and then you do another one with another person, and you go, all right, I'm done.
Yes.
What do you do?
Yeah,
really? Go and ask them. I just told them.
The best. I love those where you meet someone and you get into a deep conversation before you even really know their name. Like I remember there was a girl that I became almost like best friends with for about an hour on the train home once from uni. And she had, I think she was dating and had dating issues. And it would have been the thing where she sat down, there weren't that many people on the train, so it was a little easier to have conversations. And I was just like, oh, you all right? How are you going? Because she looked a bit upset or whatever. And she's like, oh, this has happened and this has happened. And just let the guard down instantly. And then, so I was just like, well, fuck. Like,
it's funny how you can have that sort of reaction with some people and then other people, which is, nothing.
The guard's up for years.
Yeah,
if it ever comes down.
But
I remember thinking that, and I didn't get her number or anything, and I can't even remember her name. I think she would have told me, and we had a chat. But then we just went our separate ways, and you are just like, fuck, I should have kept contact with this person, because clearly this was some kind of, even if it was a romantic thing, there was some kind of friendship where you're just like, we clearly click and can get along. And I just wish that you had those sorts of interactions with people more frequently. But I wonder how much Australians, or people in general, but I can speak from living in Australia, we have our guard up a little more now socially. And if that's a modern age thing, if that's an Australia thing.
I'm not sure. Sorry, I got my phone pinging off here. I'll just turn it down.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Has that changed since you were a kid? Have you noticed that in other cultures? You've travelled a lot more than me. Is it something that you're aware of?
Look, sorry, just you need to look at your phone these days to turn it to silent. I don't know. I think social media has made a huge difference because people interact almost constantly at a superficial level. With people that they don't even know, as well as good friends. And so I think we are so used to that superficial level of communication that's probably what we are happy with.
Yeah.
But It's hard to tell because I have nothing to judge it by because obviously if you go back 50 and 60 years ago when I was a kid growing up, I was a kid. So my experience of the world was obviously different just because I was 10 years old, not 67 years old.
Well, I guess that's the thing. I see it with rose-colored glasses, nostalgia for this period of time where I don't know if it's accurate or if it's romanticized when you see it in films, movies, written about, talked about, that it was such a more social time and that, you would have lower fences in your backyard where you would chat with your neighbours. Everyone knew each other.
Quite definitely.
Wave, that sort of thing. And I remember when we went to Lord Howe Island, it gave me that kind of idea of what it would have been like to be in the 50s and 60s. Yeah. When we're on that island, it was like there's only a few hundred people that live there permanently. And I think at any one time, there can only be 400 people total on the island because of, limits with the tourists that are allowed to come. And so anytime you went anywhere, people were at least waving and saying,
"Oh, yeah,
and,
that's quite common in general in Australia, even if you're walking down the street."
Yeah, but you won't get that here. You would get people will acknowledge you,
people
be like,
nod, but they don't go, "G'day, how you going?"
Yeah, they won't sort of literally be like, "Where are you from? What are you doing?" Like, whereas I felt like when we're on Lord Howe Island, you would go for a walk and people would just stop you and be like, "Where are you from, man? Yeah, what are you doing?" And you would just. It felt really. Initially, it was kind of like, "Whoa, this is weird."
Obviously, all the locals know all the locals.
Yeah, and they get bored.
And so, if they see somebody they don't know, they go, "Oh, I can actually have a conversation with this person and start with the where are you from?"
Do you know where I get that vibe? Here. When I go to daycare. Yeah? Anytime I walk into the daycare room,
all the 4-year-olds going, "Hey, where are you from?"
Jeez, what's your name? Whose kid is yours? Can you help me? I've got a frog. I did a drawing of a clown, and they'll come at you like little zombies. Yeah. And you suddenly have 10 of them around you being like, pulling on your shirt, being like, "Excuse me." Yeah. And Noah will run off and be like,
"Yeah, I'm out of here."
I'm just like, what's happening?
He's paid off all these kids to distract you for half an hour.
It's so funny, but I think they're sort of like, "Oh my God, new adult, different," especially when I hang out. Because sometimes Noah and Joey, they'll be in the middle of doing, some kind of, I want to say like, besteira. It's Portuguese for like shit, doing some sort of mucking around and, doing some sort of shit. And I'll be like, "All right, I'll sit down for 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden I look up and you're just like these children of the corn. Yeah. You just suddenly have this circle of like 10 3-year-olds being like, "Hello, what's your name? My dog's name is Jeffrey and he pooed inside and now we don't have Jeffrey anymore." And you'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm really sorry to hear that. Can I, Noah, it's time to go."
Welcome to the life of a childcare worker or a primary school teacher. Yeah, I was a high school teacher when I taught, but I taught at Melbourne Zoo in the education service for 3 years. And we, there were primary school teachers and secondary teachers when I was there, but we used to cross over and every now and then I'd have a grade 2 class or a grade 4 class or whatever. And grade 2s used to be the ones. 7 and 8-year-old kids, they are just constantly with that, you'd bring out a lizard to show them lizard and talk about scaly skin and whatever. "Oh, my uncle ran over a lizard on his farm last week." And then every other kid's going, "Yeah, what happened? Did you see the guts? Did you?"
I guess,
and it just gone.
It's just one of those things where I guess they want to share and they want to be able to contribute and share their experiences, and their experiences are pretty limited.
And then I reckon by the age of 8 or 9, kids start to get inhibited. And
I don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to make myself look like an idiot.
Yeah, that's it. They suddenly get that whole sensation of peers and I just don't want to be the one that makes a fool of myself in front of other people.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can sum this story up. But yeah, it was really cool. Do you think? Well, I guess you could mention, why did you get back into swimming and how's it been? And would you prefer to be doing something like that socially, or do you like doing it by yourself?
Well, the swimming stuff is, as I say, for me, swimming is you get in the water and you swim, which you're not going to be talking to people.
True, but you can meet up with people.
I could.
I guess you're not a coffee person.
No, I'm
just
not a coffee drinker.
Beer, smash one of those in the car park and go for a swim.
And then you get caught in a rip. Yeah, great.
So I'll die happy.
Yeah. No, I got beyond that just hanging around the beach as well. And typically I go early in the morning.
I'm not here to fuck spiders.
Yeah, exactly.
I got shit to do.
Yeah, I got shit to do. I'm going to swim 100 metres up the beach and walk back again and go home.
It's this grouchy old man thing. Yeah. What is that movie again? where the I think it's got Mel
Grumpy
Gibson in
Old
it.
Men.
Is it a
There is a movie
Day
called
for Old
Grumpy
Men
Old-
or whatever it is, that one with Mel Gibson where they've got this really angry sergeant or whatever, or like, lieutenant, captain, whatever he is, hierarchy in the army, and this guy every time he sees him is like, "Good morning, captain," and he's like, "Who are you, the fucking weatherman?"
Yeah.
Just like this grouchy guy every time he has anyone.
Yeah, that was Sam Elliott,
Yeah.
and he was the sergeant major. I can't remember the name of the film.
Yeah.
It's an American war movie.
We were soldiers.
We were soldiers.
That's it. We were soldiers. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
scene in that a few times, and I guess it's
where
just this
the
humorous
guy's walking
thing.
past. Yeah.
Who are you,
Morning,
the
sergeant?
fucking weatherman?
Who are you, the fucking weatherman? Yeah.
But yeah, do you
Yes.
feel a bit like that? You're just like, I'm here
pretty
to. It's like
No,
going to the
I-
toilet. I'm not here to have a conversation. I want to do it in private.
exactly. No,
and
I'm
then-
supposed to be happy to chat to people and stuff, but
Yeah.
I won't go to the beach to socialise.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's just go and have some exercise, get in the water, clear the sinuses as much as anything
Get in,
else.
get out.
Get in,
Wham,
get out,
bam, thank
go
you,
home,
ma'am.
get in the shower, and then do what I'm going to do for the rest of the day.
Why do you think it is that you don't really require many friends or a lot of social
I don't
activities?
know.
Because you and both mum, and this isn't like an attack on you at all, but you seem to be very kind of independent and not you. I think you still want and enjoy social interactions, but there are definitely people like probably Nana, my mum's mum,
Yeah.
where she would be the inverse of you, right?
Oh,
Where
she's
she would
constantly
hate being on her own.
Yeah.
To the point where I think Grandpa's only ever been away from her like 2 or 3 nights of their entire marriage, right? 70 years.
For a while. Yeah.
They've only been apart, a handful of days, because she just can't be left alone, know? And so what do you think it is? Or is it just your tolerances? You prefer to do things that are one person only kind of things?
Yeah,
or?
I think, some of the bird photography is not a social event. You can get a bunch of people that all go to somewhere and go for a walk around. But
it'd be good for
you don't-
deaf people.
You don't walk, yeah,
'cause you wouldn't make
exactly.
much noise,
Yeah.
right?
You don't walk around with 20 people, all walking together.
Yabbering around,
Or if you
scaring
do,
off the birds.
they're talking and you're not concentrating on what you're doing, you're scaring off the birds. But going somewhere and having a chat and stuff is fine. Or every now and then there's a rare bird pops up somewhere and you turn up and there's 30 other people there, or sometimes 100 other people there, which can be irritating, but it's also fun. Irritating in a sense that you're not going to get to see much, but also you got 100 pairs of eyes that are all going to go, there it is, there it is.
Well, that's it. You just look for the largest group, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think you've become more isolated the older you get? Or is this just you've always been like this? And
No.
And is that not just a you thing, but
Well, I don't know.
is
I
that
think it's
just an
probably
everyone thing?
an everybody thing. I don't know, but certainly for me, I was much more gregarious when I was younger. And look, partly it's the I think as an adult, and you're a bit different because you work for yourself and you work at home. But my social life was work for a long time.
Well,
When
it's
you-
most people,
Yeah,
right?
you're constantly working side by side with either a small group of people or a large group of people.
So your cup is full at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you don't need to go, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the pub and meet some friends.
That's to socialise with even more people.
Yeah, exactly. But, for me, I don't really find that I need to be in a lot of other people. I'm happy to see people, but again, it's that small
On
scale.
my own terms.
Yes, no, not even that. It's a small scale,
Yes.
more intimate settings rather than, a dinner party of 8 people is about as big as it gets.
Well, it just
After
gets
that, it's just a
exhausting,
shouting
right?
match.
Yeah, well, but also you're like, okay, well, I need to go and talk to every single person and I need to kind of manage my time and I can't get too deep into one thing. And it's much more enjoyable when you're not running those events too.
Yeah,
Like anytime
which
you
is-
go to weddings and you're kind of like, I don't know lots of people, but I do know a small number and I'm just going to hang out with them the whole
Or you
night.
go and find somebody you've never met before in your life and have a chat with them and realise that you don't want to know them again. Or this could be the best friend that you're ever going to have.
That's it. Excuse me, I need to go and throw up.
Yeah, exactly. But I've had. I used to attend a lot of conferences for work and working at conferences, and I'm perfectly happy talking in front of 5,000 people. I've never had that stage fright thing.
Really? I'd be shitting myself.
Most people do, but 5,000 people. If you got a crowd of 5,000 people in the floor at a trade show you're constantly having those little small scale one-to-one interactions.
Well, but that's
Whereas-
almost like it just becomes exhausting because of the repetition.
Yeah, but then that was working as well. You talking about your job. You're talking about in my case, it was software and you know, that sort of stuff. But
it is one of those funny
parties
things
are a bit different.
where we being people who create content online, you know, that people consume on YouTube or whatever, podcasts, you don't really, like when I'm making this kind of a thing, I don't think about all the people listening or watching because currently they're not, right? It's a future thing and I'm not there experiencing it.
Yeah, it always amuses me. And I used to do the same thing. I haven't put up a YouTube video for a while, but like a while, in about 3 or 4 years. But it always used to amuse me when I found myself saying, I'll see you next week. No, you fucking won't. You'll see me next week.
Yeah, you'll see me next week.
You'll see me next week.
The tag, that's it. But it does get to I publish videos on YouTube and I've done a few recently, reaction videos, and they've done a lot better than my previous videos. And some of them have gotten to like 150, 200 to 1,000. And I'm like...
you've gone past me then.
But I was like, that's 1.5, 2 times the MCG, right?
Yeah.
At maximum capacity. And I'm like, and I don't even think about it. I just put it out there and I just ignore it and tap out. And I'm like, whatever. Whereas if you took me to the MCG and said, all these people are here to see you. And
you stand on a stage. I'd just
be like, I'm going to wet my pants. Yeah.
Hello? Well, the MCG's like 100,000 people's a bit different because you're actually... Other than the people right in front of you, you're not engaged with anybody. Yeah. It's the same as talking to a large auditorium of people.
There's a threshold.
You can't recognise faces beyond about the 20th row of people.
Yeah.
And so I tend not to talk to the front row when I'm doing it. I'm talking to people a few back because then, and I've watched people as well. If you're talking a few rows back, the people at the back think you're looking at them as well. Whereas if you're looking down at the front, everybody else feels that they're not engaged.
I think it's funny. I think the worst possible public, presentation type situation for me was like high school, end of high school in assembly, if that made sense. So you had the entire school who was there, and you could definitely make out everyone's face.
Oh yeah, but they all know you as well. That's different.
I know.
Talking to a group of your peers is very different from talking to a bunch of people that you only know 10% or 5% of the audience.
Anyway, we've been rabbiting on for a bit. We can probably finish up here.
How do we get to software conferences from grannies in the beach at Albany in Western Australia?
Well, I guess too, to finish up, it was kind of cool that they had impacted other women in an advanced age.
There are other granny grommet groups around the world now.
South Africa and France, they were doing it as well. So that was cool. Do you reckon Mum's ever going to join any of these granny grommet type groups?
No.
She'd be like, no, I'm not a trend follower.
No, well, exactly.
All right, thanks for joining us, guys. And
we'll see you next time.
You'll see us next time, or hear us.
You won't see anybody.
See ya.